Getting together. I know Mary's been working really hard to try to do something for this anniversary. So we wanted to kind of get you guys together and just talk for a little bit. We tried to get Streets here, but of course it's Tuesday, so he's on the golf course. So we'll catch up with Streets another time. But again, to me, it's hard to imagine that it's been 30 years. Granted, I've been at Eastern 20 some now, and I look back and see some of these accomplishments you guys have done. Does it feel like it's been 30 years in your mind?
I guess I'll go first. It does and it doesn't. I mean, when we get together like this, and Coach Braun has done, I think 4 or 5 of our games since we've been here at Duquesne. So it's almost like a reunion, so to speak, every time we get together. So we always talk about all the times. Coach Danbrout was just on the phone with Coach Braun like last week, and they started teasing me like they always do. So it's almost like we're never away from each other, man. So it is 30 years when you think about it. It's like, it's crazy because we're all still intertwined with each other, man. So, Lorenzo does a good job of staying in touch with Carl and myself, and I try to do the same with him. So we're really not out of touch. So yes, it's been 30 years, but that's why, to me, it doesn't seem like it's been 30.
Well, I mean, to me, it only seems like it's been 30 when you want to walk up and down the stairs and your knees won't let you get up as high. That's when the 30 years come in. But just to read some of the presses that came out on Twitter about what the accomplishments we had that year, and I was talking to one of our coaches today about doing this afternoon. Coach Braun told us we're going to graduate. We got there, and our senior year, we had Charles, myself, and Lorenzo in main campus. We were in caps and gowns, and that was the media guy covered to start that year. That's something that when I worked at Eastern and coached there, it was on my wall, framed up, and that's something I remember right now. It takes me back to that was 30 years ago. It goes by fast, and it always does when you talk about things like this. But it's so great to look back and think about the things you've done and people you've been around in all this time. And like Charles said, Coach Braun is around and talks to Coach Danbrout all the time and talks to us. And Lorenzo, we get to touch through recruiting. And I know when I was coaching on the road, I know Charles does sometimes, and we talk about players. So it's great to look back, but it's also, great to be in the space that we're in right now.
Well, I'll say this. I tell you, time flies. I have a 22-year-old daughter here soon in late October. And when I look back and think about all the great times we had and staying in touch with all the guys, people like Corey Hollis, Roger Lewis, Khalil Fielder, Coach Waters, Coach Miller, and all those guys, man. I mean, I'm telling you, time flies. But we had a ball there, and I mean, when every time I go places, I see people because I've been around in the area for quite a while, some time now, and I tend to run into people all the time, and they always bring up the time that we had a chance to play in the Sweet 16 and things like that. So those were great memories.
Well, you asked me 30 years. The time does fly. I agree with Lorenzo, but the same token, Charles and Carl make a good point that we do stay in touch. We see one another, we talk, and it's harder for me. I keep reminding these guys, I never stop reminding them that for a coach, I have 1,000 former players, so it's hard for me to stay in touch with players, but it's easy for all of you to stay in touch with me. You only have one coach. So, but it's hard sometimes to maintain and stay in touch as much as I'd like, but it really is good just to see how guys are doing. I had forgotten about that cap and gown, and today players always graduate on time. They come back or they don't finish, but these guys, not only did they have success on the court, you guys were successful on the court, but you guys graduated on time. That was huge, and I think that's a great message for future players. You can do both. So but that was a special time. This group here played in one NCAA tournament, but they weren't satisfied. They decided they wanted to play in more. And not only did they play in the tournament, but they advanced and they went. If we hadn't played North Carolina, we might have gone further. My luck in my career is I always had to play against North Carolina in the Sweet 16. used to joke with Dean Smith. I said, I wish we could face somebody else besides his teams, but that's quite an honor that these guys accomplished that. And it's fun staying in touch with the guys. And it's fun to come back and relive some of these memories.
When you look back at the chemistry of that team, and I mean, as close as you guys are all together, how important was the team chemistry as a collective group that made you guys so successful?
Did
Well,
you ask?
I'll say.
Oh, go ahead, Lo.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. You know, the one thing that we had that was so good is the fact that we had experience all the way around, and we had great support and leadership from top to bottom. You know, there's an old saying that mediocre coaches tell you, good coaches would explain, a superior coach would demonstrate, but a great coach would inspire. And the one thing about Coach Braun and the staff and all the support that we had, we were inspired. We were inspired to have success and to make a long run during the tournament. So going into the tournament during that time, I certainly wasn't surprised because if you look at it, we had 3 pros on our team as well with the Twins and Marcus Kennedy. So we had a very, very good team, and we had great leadership, and we had strong support from all the above. So those were great times, great memories, and you know, you just can't say enough. I mean, we can sit on this Zoom call and talk about all the times we had all day.
Charles, don't bring up all of them, Charles.
Yeah, that's true.
You make Lorenzo feel bad on one of them about that Walkman incident. So just don't bring up that one.
No, I won't bring up the walk. I won't bring up the Walkman incident. Low and Big Nine. They can
Oh, I still remember that. I've never seen Brian Nolan run so fast.
But I want to say the reason I say that and joke about Lorenzo is like I think we got inspired by our coach as well, but I think we inspired each other. I mean, we know our point guard is our leader. You know, he came in, he was no nonsense from his freshman year. And Grant was like that as far as an older guy. Lorenzo was that guy as a young guy coming in that came in right away and tried to establish himself as a leader, which he did, you know, tremendously as a freshman. And it showed with the honors and accolades that he had. But even with that is how it filtered to the team. I remember personal experience with Lorenzo and myself. I was struggling a little bit, and he asked me, and Lo, you might not remember this, but I remember it still like it was yesterday. And he said, "So who do you think you play like?" I went, "Play like?" And he said, "Yeah, you know, who do you kind of pad your game? Who do you watch to learn the game from to get better?" And I'm like, "What's this dude talking about?" And he said, "Well, I see you as Byron Scott." And I went, and I thought about what Lorenzo said. I went back to my room that night, and I started watching Lakers play more, watching Byron Scott more. And then when I watched him today, my game was similar to Byron Scott's, and Lorenzo, with the basketball mind he had, noticed that about me early. So I started watching that stuff, and throughout my years, I think I progressed because Lorenzo put that in my head.
I remember that conversation.
Understand that?
Yes.
So not only from the coaching staff, I think that we developed a relationship. And Lorenzo also too. If you weren't doing what he wanted to do, he would tell you as a freshman, "You're not doing what you need to be doing." So it started from Coach Braun, those guys, and Coach Miller, and Coach Dan Rod, and Coach Miller, and Coach Waters when he was there. But our team throughout the years, we challenged each other to be better, and I think that helped us as well.
And I to piggyback on what Carl said, I agree with all that. And I remember when we first our freshman year, we first sat down and we were watching, I think, the girls volleyball or something. And I can't believe Lorenzo was even in there. But like, I started picking Lorenzo's brain, and I didn't play that much as a freshman as much as these guys do. But at that moment, I knew we were going to be all right the 4 years we were there because of that little guy right there. Like, we all felt comfortable. We all felt sure that we were going to get things done. And that's because of Lo. And as far as me as a player, like I said, I didn't play that much as a freshman, but I watched how Lorenzo, how business-like he was. I like to joke around, I like to have fun, and I still like to do that. And I did that throughout my career. But I would watch Lo. Lo was probably one of the smartest basketball players I've ever played with in my entire life. Like, he understood. He understood. So Lo may not have been the best athlete, but he had one of the best minds. Like, he understood how to play the game. So really, Coach Braun put me as a point guard, as my freshman year, and I came in as a wing, and I'm like, what am I? I think Lowe and I got in 3 fights that year. He threw the ball at me, I swung at him, like, but all that got me better because Lowe was never gonna back down. Like Derek Comey used to always say, Lorenzo talk junk to me, Lorenzo gonna talk junk to anybody. He ain't scared of anybody. And that's kind of mentality I think it rubbed off on the rest of our team. And he may not see it that way, but for me personally, Lorenzo was my inspiration other than the rest of the coaches because of how he went away, how he handled his business. It was all about business with Lowe when it came to basketball. So we all thought we loved the game, but that little dude loved the game. And I think that's what pretty much inspired me my last 3 years. And Lowe, I'm not saying you're the reason why I made it to the pros, but like, dude, you were a big part of just me and my whole mindset.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words from all you guys.
You guys talk about, or Greg, you talked about chemistry, and I think chemistry is a very underrated part of any team's success. And this team had chemistry, but there's a couple things that I believe that this team accomplished that a lot of teams didn't. And one is the guys in the team also improved. They got better. Charles maybe improved more than anybody. Which was a testament to him. But I think Lorenzo and Carl, those guys got better from their freshman to their senior year. And teams that get better, when you're already good and you're not afraid to get better, take the steps, that makes it go. We also had a prototypical team in that we had Lorenzo at point guard. We had the 2 wings and Charles and Carl. We had a small forward that was, ahead of his time, and Corey Hallis. That did some things, and Marcus Kennedy is a guy you can throw in space and play for round 1. Then we had Roger Lewis off the bench. I think you mentioned Felder and a couple of guys that came in and really helped us. So we had a prototypical team. We were a hard team to match up against, and that chemistry fit a system, and they obviously got better. But it's great to hear these stories. I didn't realize. That I hear some of these stories for the first time. I didn't hear any comparisons about Byron Scott. That's pretty good, Lo. That got Carl going. I used to tell Carl he couldn't play, and you're telling him he looks like Byron Scott. I told Charles he should give up basketball and go out for baseball, and you're telling him keep playing, I used to challenge Lorenzo too, but these guys persevered. They didn't put up with my garbage. I think it went in one ear, went out the other, but it was a special team. It really was. And these guys were special. The 4 years they were there, I think those might've been the 4 greatest years in Eastern Michigan basketball history. And we've had some awfully good years there, but I think from year 1 to year 4, those other 2 years, we could have made the tournament just as easily. There's no question.
I'll let Mary slide in after this one, but you think about some of the games that you guys played. You picked up a win at Kent State, a place that Eastern had never won before. You hear the first round matchup against Mississippi State after you win the MAC title. What was going through your head after either of those times? When first you win at Kent State for the first time, and then second you see your name in the tournament, but you get Mississippi State.
Well, I'll say the first one. I think I said it.
We were confident.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say that I know that we played at Kent State. I think I said it then. We won at Kent State, and then no one really got crazy in the locker room. It's just like, okay, it's something that we're supposed to do. And we won, and we came home, and we should have celebrated, but we still had to play Ball State. So our season wasn't over, so we wanted to come home and finish another game. We thought we'd been crazy and jump around the locker room, but we weren't. I mean, that goes back to what Charles said about the business-like mentality we had. We knew the season wasn't over. We still had the MAC tournament to go, and the Kent State one was great, but we weren't thinking it's our first time. We were on a bigger mission, more than just winning at Kent State. And the Mississippi State thing, I think Marcus had the funniest line. He said that they're the Bulldogs or something. I don't even know what a mascot they are. So we weren't worried about who we were playing. We knew we were a veteran team. We were confident what we did. Didn't matter who you put in front of us. We were just ready to play. And when you got older teams, not too many older teams in basketball right now, college basketball. So when you got Lorenzo Neely, who's played 1 million games as a senior, Carl Thomas, who's played 1 million games as a senior, Charles Thomas, who's played 1 million games as a senior, Marcus Kennedy, who's a player here. We were an old team. We're all 21, 22 years old. We're supposed to win. And I think that's how we thought. and that's how we approach going into Mississippi State game.
Carl Lowe called them the Wolves. Remember, Lowe called them the Wolves.
Lorenzo said. I thought Marcus said. Lorenzo
Lowe
said.
called them the Wolves. He said, "I don't even know what the Bulldogs, the Wolves. I don't even know."
That's right. That's right.
To augment off Coach Braun and Carl statement is the fact that again we had an experienced group, and I think if I recall, I was doing a press conference and one of the questions was pointed at Mississippi State, them being from the SEC and all this and that, and I think I made the statement that this is not our first rodeo. And we were prepared. We were well coached, and we were ready. So we expected to beat teams like Kent State and during that time, because we certainly was looking forward to playing Mississippi State or whomever we were to face. So for Mississippi State to get the call, we were just excited to and looking forward to getting back to the tournament and to show that we belong.
Right. And for me, I try to tend to forget about that Kent State game. The only thing that happened for me good about that game is that we won. I went 0 for 4 that game. Didn't see the ball go through the basket at all. I probably played some good defense because Coach Braun kept me on the floor. So for me, I just was happy to get out there to play against Ball State in the last home game because I had such a bad offensive game against Kent State. But I was happy for our guys that we won. In the Mississippi State game, I mean, anybody that knows Charles Thomas, I really didn't care. Like, I'm so arrogant that I think that we're going to win every game we play. They put their pants on like we do. I think I even said that before we played North Carolina. They put their pants on like we do. So I was just looking forward to going in and just competing. I mean, unlike these other two guys, I didn't play when we were in Nebraska against Pitt. Lowe had a good game. Carl had a really good game shooting the ball. I was ML Carr. I'm swinging my towel the entire game in that first round game against Pittsburgh. So getting a chance to play against Mississippi State, it could have been any school in the country. I was just happy that I was finally getting a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, which is a college athlete's dream. So to get a chance to do that and then to go as far as we did was just phenomenal. But to win by 20, you know, it looked kind of hairy there. Lowe went out throwing up and all that stuff. And we're like, dang, man, where is he going? And I'm like, Coach Braun, please don't put me at the point. I haven't done it all year. You know, good thing we had Joe Frazier and Khalil Felder. But, you know, Lowe came back in and had a stellar game. And Carl shot the blood out of it. And Corey and Marcus, just like Coach Braun taught us to do, we all did our jobs. And we knew if we all would do our job, we were going to win. Didn't matter who we played. And Charles, I think that's why you saw such a good run.
Well, we played for and Coach already mentioned it. We played for each other. We played for each other.
You know, Lorenzo, Charles just busted you out because now I remembered I used to brag to my high school coach. I said, you know, I used to ask the players to play so hard that they'd throw up. I didn't know you'd take me literally. So Lorenzo threw up all over my best looking suit. So Lorenzo, you owe me for that suit. I never billed you for that. Suit was never the same again. That was one hell of a suit now. And you threw up all over. You couldn't have gone on the floor.
You know what happened though, Coach? I think about that all the time, but you know what happened because, you know, going into my freshman year, I had bad eating habits. And I used to always eat bacon and sausages before games and things like that. I mean, I grew up on that stuff, and me and you used to go back and forth about what I should eat in terms of preparing for a game. So I got used to not eating meat. But on this particular day, you and my mom had a conversation, and she was like, hey, Lorenzo needs to eat some meat. He needs to eat some meat for him to play good. So you allowed me to sneak and have some bacon that morning. So I was just throwing up that bacon because I hadn't been used to eating that bad pork.
Your mom,
for a long period of time.
And your mom went to the back kitchen. She made me go see the chef, and she made me get a special order, but on the same token, it gave you your energy. So I'm glad that she did it. I'm glad you did it. I don't care you threw up. We went to the Sweet 16. I'll take it.
I'm glad you threw up too, Lowe.
But you know what, though? I talk about this all the time too, and I tell my young people now that I'm coaching is the fact that you know, eating is so important. it was a time that I couldn't stand eating broccoli. I hated eating all kind of vegetables, but you made me eat broccoli. I mean, you literally made me eat broccoli. And to this day, I love me some broccoli. I love me some broccoli. So that's great. That's a wonderful story.
No salad. I mean, salad coach too. I mean, I wasn't even a salad guy. We had to figure what do you put on a salad, man? I don't even eat salad. You eat the salad. You eat the salad for everything. And we didn't get that meat, by the way, Greg. Lorenzo got that meat when he was freshman. He's the one that tried to get that meat. We never got that meat. So
yeah, coach.
I didn't know that.
Coach did that to all of us. It's like I remember there was a couple of home games before we eat at the Tower Inn, and Coach Braun used to sit right next to me to watch me eat the salad. I'm like, I'm not eating this salad, Coach. I remember a few times sitting right next to me to make me eat that. So, Lo, he did it to all of us, man. I didn't get the meat either, though. I probably would have played better if I got the meat.
Know.
Oh man,
well, if you see me grabbing something to drink now, I'm drinking my smoothie with vegetables in it.
These are great. This is awesome, man. Coach Braun, I need you. In my childhood, I really didn't eat a lot of vegetables either. Love them now, but this is great to hear. I know you guys have already gone through a lot of my questions, but the biggest thing I know, you make it to the Sweet 16 round. And Charles, you were quoted in a newspaper that people were coming up to you from Ypsilanti and the student body, like saying, good job, congratulations. You didn't even know them. I guess for all of you, how did it feel to have the city behind you and the student behind you during this run? I mean, reading those stories, it was just great to see everyone come together for you guys.
It was
but like I said,
go ahead, Charles. I said it was.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like I mentioned earlier, we had great support to see the city of Ypsilanti and the community and the state and all the support that we had. It was great. It was tremendous to walk around town and. We had always had a lot of success anything and see all the support that we had. And, like I say, to this day, I see people that I wouldn't even think that knew we made that run. They come up to me and they always bring up the fact that, we had a good team and we had a lot of success. So they are always bringing up great memories and saying wonderful things. And but we had a really good team, and we had a lot of support, and we had a lot of leadership.
Yeah, we sure did, Lo. The support was the biggest thing that I remember. Coach Braun did a good job of that too. It was a good liaison between the community and Eastern Michigan basketball. I think that's probably one of the reasons why us three probably even chose that school. But just having people come up to you, man. Thanks for. I'd have to go to class today. I appreciate it. You guys get to the term, we all get class off because we get to watch the game because it's in the afternoon, or just people just coming up to me that they never experienced a basketball game, but they just had to come because they wanted to watch us play and be a part of it. Like when you're an athlete and somebody comes up to you and they tell you that you've touched them in that kind of way, and they remember that stuff, like Lo says, going on now 30 years, and every time I was fortunate enough to coach at the University of Akron, so I got to play. Not in a gym that we would have had 10,000 that gym, we would have played in it, but, didn't get to play in the convo, but like we go back to games and people would come up and they would always talk about, man, I mean, almost like a moment where you remember where you were when we made it to the Sweet 16. Like I got those stories for 7 years when I was coaching in the MAC, and it's just something that we'll never forget, that I'll never forget. And my mom laughs at me all the time when I go back to their house because I'm pulling out old photo albums. And one day during the pandemic, I'm taking pictures of everything we did. And Lo, I got to send it to you. I don't know if I did or not, but I took a picture of Ball State, and it's so crazy, man. You're in the middle. Carl's on one wing. I'm on the other wing. You got the ball pushing the break, and that's how we came in. And that was our last home game in Bowen Fieldhouse. You pushing the ball in the middle, and me and Carl on the wings. I'm about to start crying now. Like, that was just crazy. Like,
well, you need to send that to me then.
I definitely will. It's an unbelievable photo, man. It's like, and that's how we went in. You led us. Carl and I were your supporting cast, and we brought everybody along with us, man. It was unbelievable, just unbelievable.
I think just touch on the support in the city.
While we talking, I want to say real quick. I was just gonna say real quick. I didn't get a chance to congratulate you guys for being and inducted into the Hall of Fame here soon. I think I mentioned that in my Hall of Fame speech, is the fact that I would love to see you guys and Corey Hollis and Marcus Kennedy inducted as well. So again, congratulations to that. That is big.
I appreciate it.
Well deserved.
Appreciate that.
I just say, man, since I was a freshman, you always tell me to run that way, and you're gonna throw me the ball and find me, so I get a chance to shoot it. So, part of that is because of you anyway. So, I appreciate all the assists you got. I helped you get on that assist board too. So I did my part to helping you.
I always envisioned playing with you guys, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I was Coach Braun's first signee to Eastern Michigan, and because I saw the future. I saw the future as being bright. But when I signed, I came up to watch you guys play in a high school game during my senior year. I wanted to see you guys play. So Coach had told me about you. Say, hey, we recruiting some pretty good wings from Lansing, the Thomas twins. So I took it upon myself to drive up there and watch you guys play. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but I scouted you all out too.
I told you guys Lorenzo was smart, right? He was very cerebral. There you go.
This is a dude ahead of his time right here in scouting. He was destined to be a coach right there.
Hey, you guys are going to get me in trouble. You're going to get me in trouble for doing illegal recruiting.
No, he didn't say he rode with you, Coach. He didn't say he rode with you. But no, Mary just say about being on campus. I mean, the campus itself was bubbling. I think anyway. There was way more stuff to do than there's now. Like I said, the tower and stuff like that. Theo's down the road. We had a spaghetti vendor. This kind of the Eastern Michigan memorabilia thing with all the athletes on the walls and stuff there with Chickarelli. So it was a lot. So once we got going, you almost felt like you were at a real college campus and everybody was on TV, because everybody came out to work with us wearing the green and white, stuff in the stands. The sororities and fraternities got behind us. I remember Chuck King, when I was a freshman, when we first started going on, he had every fraternity on campus was a Chuck King fan. So once we kept winning, it just kept growing and growing and growing. So you would see people that you might not see every day walking in campus or being in the classroom at a basketball game. And it was easy because Bowen Fieldhouse, you come from class, you walk right down to Bowen, you walk in, and it's jumping. We're dunking, we're shooting threes, we're having fun, the balls get passed around. Coach Braun allowed us to play a fun style of basketball. So we were an easy team to get behind. And for Charles and I, being twins, I mean, we get that all the time on campus. We won't know who you are, but you're those twins that played in that Sweet 16 that year. You guys, yes, you're those guys. And then obviously the formula worked, and we move on to the next segment. But the formula worked because Coach Braun tried to find another Lorenzo, Earl Boykins. He tried to find another Charles and Carl Thomas, Brian Tolbert, Derek Dow. He tried to find another Marcus Kennedy, Deron Wilson, and he tried to find another Corey Hollis, John Xavier. So he tried Zajac. So he tried to emulate us, which is a compliment in itself. He found something that worked. I got this team, got to the Sweet 16. I'm gonna take another one in that model and try to do it the same. I'm not saying that's how Coach you did it, but Coach, if you look back, two athletic wings that can shoot, a point guard to run your team, big guy inside to control the paint, and a four-man that was ahead of his time. So we got kind of Coach Braun thinking this can work. So we all helped each other's careers, and everybody I think in the area picked up on that energy. Everybody.
Well, I want to say thank you for that. You give me too much credit, but I gotta let you in on a secret. That community support was huge. You know, I found the Romanis family, as you know, and they adopted us, and so that was our big support group in the community. We used to eat our meals there. We used to go there and celebrate wins. And what was interesting is we also managed to get, as you say, a great home court advantage. We had standing room only. So people said, how did you get the community to come out? I said, well, nobody will ever know that now. But I used to tell Brian Miller to go into the back door. He said, well, they're turning people away in the door. I said, no, they're not. I said, what do you mean? I said, go tell those people, get it in the back door, open it up, let them come in. So Brian Miller used to go to the back door, and these people would stream in the back door to get in our games. And he did that for many years. And so, yeah, we set attendance records. That's just a little secret now, but, you know, we weren't going to turn away anybody. So they ended up streaming into our games. But to play in front of a full house is the ultimate compliment to any basketball player. You tell them that helps you recruit, that helps you play better, and it hurts your opponents. Nobody wants to play in front of a full house.
It's true. It's true. I
Very
totally
true.
agree, Coach.
Very true. Thanks for doing
Yeah,
that,
tell
Coach.
Brian
Letting me in.
Miller,
I
tell
appreciate
Coach
that.
Miller, he's the one that was his brainstorm.
I'm gonna hit him up.
Definitely.
Hit him up. Hit Mills up.
I definitely, oh, I definitely have some photos I'll have to share with you guys of just a packed house, all that stuff. So that's really great. I mean, you guys definitely, knew how to score. You knew how to entertain. The team still holds the field goal percentage record for that season at 51.4%. I mean, 30 years later, I guess just talk about, I know you talked about your chemistry, the way you meshed on the court, but just talk about your ability to score. I mean, you had a dynamic playmaker, you had sharp shooters, you had people right at center, down low. Just talk a little bit about each of your performances. Coach, if you want to talk about their abilities to score too, that would be great.
Coach, you should go first.
Yeah. When you're blessed with a team, these guys, first of all, were willing to play defense. And when you have a team that's willing to play defense, even the NBA is finding this out now. People say, what's wrong with the Clippers? What's wrong with these teams that lose? When you're not defending, you're not getting breakouts. You're not getting fast breaks. People forget we weren't just a good shooting team. We got a lot of baskets off of our break. And so when we got steals, long rebounds, we ran, we pushed it. We got layups, and we got open shots and transitions. So we really got, I think, high percentage shots. And obviously we had a guy inside that can score. You threw it into him. He was going to score 75% of the time. But when they double teamed him, he threw it out, and we had guys bury open shots. So that is amazing today. I didn't realize we were over 50%, but very few teams do that and shoot at that high a clip. That's amazing percentage in any level, whether it's high school, college, or pro. You're shooting over 50%. You're going to win a good portion of your games. And but there's only one ball in the game. So your players, as these guys have said, have to be willing to share the ball. I used to joke around. I'm not sure if I ever hit Lorenzo or Earl Boykins with this line. I used to hit some other guys with it, but I used to joke about when a guy had a hot hand, I'd say, hey, there's only one guy that can keep him from scoring. And I might point at Lorenzo or Earl, say, and it's you, Earl, or it's you, Lorenzo, like get him the ball. But these guys bought into that. They bought into the fact that if somebody had a hot hand or somebody was open, they didn't have any problem. They didn't care about their average. All these guys averaged pretty much double figures, but they could have all scored more points than they did. But they shared the wealth. They shared the ball, and they wanted the winning was more important than individual glory. So that's why that's why these guys were so successful. That's why they're coaching today. They're imparting what they've learned. They're teaching it to their players, and that's why their players and their teams win, because they know the winning formula.
Coach said it best. The one thing that we were a well-balanced team. We had, the game was played more inside out, and we had a great inside attack. Whether it was one of us being able to get in the lane and penetrate to dump it off, or to kick it out, or just throwing the ball down low. And then when you had guys like the twins and Corey that were sharpshooters from the outside, I mean, we were a well-balanced team. One game I can get 20, 25 points. Marcus can get 20, 25 points. The Thomas twins can get 20, 25 points. So you never knew how to really defend us, because we were so good in terms of being a balanced scoring team. One thing about Coach, I always remember this story, and I try to emulate this all the time too. I remember coming out of a timeout or something like that. Coach would call the referee over to the side, and he would tell the referee exactly what we were going to do. Like, hey, we throwing the ball in the post. Make sure you keep an eye on such and such, or we about to run Charles or Carl off a double screen. Make sure you keep your eye on what's going on. So Coach he was really good at being able to tell the referees what was going on, and we would actually go out there and execute. So our scoring was good. We were able to get into transition and or play half court basketball. So whatever that it was needed for us to do that day, we were well suited for it.
Yeah, I agree.
It showed that in the NCAA tournament. I mean, we played against Mississippi State. We played a little faster. We played against Penn State. It was more of a slow-down game. I don't think the first turnovers happened like midway through the second half. And at one point, we had almost all guards in there because Corey and Marcus were in foul trouble. So I think you saw the points and you saw the good camaraderie on the court just because we were well prepared. And Coach did a really good job, and his assistants did a really good job of getting us to understand what our roles were. Because I think everybody can have the ability to score, but if you don't understand what your certain roles are on each individual team, you're not going to be able to be as efficient as you should be. And Carl will tell you, he'll probably tell you in a minute, like his best 2 years shooting, when he made his most threes, the most open threes, he had Grant Long in the middle, and he had Marcus Kendi in the middle. So when you got those guys in the middle commanding what they command, all you're doing is shooting wide open jumpers. And I think Carl shot almost 50% from three that year. I made, I think, 63s that year, my senior year. Lowe didn't come in as a really good shooter. Lowe was knocking down threes, and which made it even better for Lowe because now he's in the lane on everybody, which he did since he was his freshman. So we just played our roles, and I think that is why we scored so well and why we did so well as far as scoring goes.
Well, one other thing, I'm just going to add this. Nobody was really – the fans don't see you in practice, and I think these guys alluded to this, but every day in practice, as good as these guys were, they had to go up against guys like you mentioned, Joe Frazier and Khalil Felder. These guys were all conference, all-state players. They weren't chumps, and they have to play against them, and they pushed them, and they had to play against Fenoris Pearson. Marcus, and Fenoris used to get in the fights, and they'd play against each other. And Mike Boykin and big, strong guys,
Pete Pangus.
Yeah, Pete Pangus, too.
And Pete Pangus, yeah, I can go down the list. And Roger Lewis, our second team, the second team could beat the first team now. That wasn't like and then I'd say, hey, guys, you're lucky that you're not going to play a team as good as this second team. And all those guys on the second team were damn good players. And they push these guys. So that's how you have a true team. You can't have a true team if your whole team's not pushing to become better. And I really think that was a big key to our team's success as well.
I agree, Coach. And Charles, I was going to say that as well, but it happens, Greg, when scoring. Like I said, we got a lot of easy stuff. We were pressed a lot, try to play up tempo. Even Charles, like I said, we played North Carolina. It was 35, 32 and a half. So we could play any style you wanted to play. I think we were best with that group in transition, but we had that killer inside. And for myself included, Lorenzo and Marcus is the reason why I got a chance to play with Sacramento. It's my first year at school, because it showed I had the ability to shoot the basketball. Not only make open shots, but I can make some tough shots once I got going. But you had to use that big guy inside. He made everybody's job so much easier. Lorenzo made everybody's job so much easier. And then when you worry about me shooting threes or Charles shooting threes, Corey doing his utility thing, and Marcus down low, you forget about the dude that was a freshman of the year and three-time all-conference player against Bowling Green, showed him the most disrespect of his life. It didn't guard him. Mm-hmm. So Lorenzo ends up with 28 points that game, talking about y'all trying to make me shoot.
Jim, and by the way, Jim Larinaga still talks about that game. He said, there's one game that's haunted me my whole life. It's Lorenzo Neely. I picked the wrong guy to challenge. He said he didn't just have 28. He had 0 points at the half. He had 28 in one half against us, and brought us back because we were down 20 points at the half. But it's amazing. Lorenzo didn't make the NBA, but he very well could have, and you guys would agree with me on that. He was tough enough, smart enough. But I remember Lorenzo, I don't know if he'll admit this or not, but I know who he used to pattern his game. And I to this day, think that if you're going to pattern your game after somebody, he used to love watching Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas was an assassin. People don't realize he had that Lorenzo smile. You thought he was a sweet kid, and then if you looked sideways, you better look in your back pocket. Your lunch money was gone. Lorenzo was tough, and I think he picked a good guy to emulate. At that time, Isaiah Thomas was the talk of the town, and I hope you'll admit that, because I respect Isaiah Thomas more than anybody in the NBA. People don't realize how good he was, but Lorenzo, you took a page out from him. He was a tough hombre.
Lorenzo, that's another story we can't share either right now because of Oakland, Oakland University basketball game. We cannot share right now, but Charles and I know what we're talking about. So you know what I'm talking about. Some player named Lance Blanks, something with Lance Blanks, things like that. But I won't talk about that.
Lo, you was trying to get me cut, man. I'm like, I'm happy we're in camp together. And Lo, you do that at Oakland, at the open gym we was playing. I'm like, they looking at me like, is this your teammate from college? I was like, man, that's just how Lo is. But Lo was disrespected by Lance, and Lo that's the good thing about it. Lance showed him disrespect. Lowe wasn't having it. And he's like, you here, I'm here. And the funny thing you say about Isaiah Thomas, and Lowe, I don't know if you remember that, but Isaiah Thomas looked at Lance like, Lance, you asked for it, so you better not say nothing. Like, you the reason why that happened. So it's funny you say that about Isaiah Thomas, because Isaiah Thomas actually respected Lowe Carl for Lowe doing that.
And that's what I say. The only thing about our roles and stuff, last thing I'll say about our roles when we're talking about the Sweet 16 is that, and Lorenzo said it earlier, everybody accepted them. Like, everybody knew, and then Coach Braun said, hot hands. Coach Braun, when I set the three-point record against Toledo, I was 1 for 7 or 1 for 8 in the first half. Coach Braun called 3 plays for me to start the half, and our point guard ran the plays and brought the ball to me. They knew I was hot, so he went. Lorenzo scored in 28 points against Bowling Green in the second half. No one said a word because we knew Lowe was in his rhythm, was doing his thing. If Marcus didn't get the ball inside, he was getting upset, and we know he's our biggest thing. We threw Marcus the ball. So everybody accepted when everybody was doing something well, and that's what it takes a team. It doesn't matter. We all got glory. We're talking about this 30 years later because we all sacrificed for each other. And Lorenzo said that beautifully in the beginning. We all sacrificed for each other, and that's why we were able to succeed.
Carl, you said something that's really important, and I used to argue with my assistants. They say, Coach, you got to go over the roles. They don't know their roles. They don't know their roles. I said, wait a minute. I said, you guys, I don't disagree with you often. I said, but you're wrong. They all know their roles. They just don't accept their roles. And you're right. Once you accept your roles, that's a lot better. I think all players kind of know their roles. That's just that's an alibi. But accepting the roles is way harder than knowing your role.
Yeah.
Guys, some other people that we haven't quite hit on that I know were important in this run. I mean, a guy like Gary Waters, certainly you've touched on Brian Miller, but there were other people in the background that played vital roles. I mean, guys like Gary Strickland, Bill Tuscany, Streets. What are some good stories or moments that you remember that stand out from those years that involved those coaches or support staff?
For me, Strict won. I mean, it wasn't that Sweet 16 run, but it was just being, trying to keep us healthy. And I remember, early not wanting to get taped and things like that. And he made us get taped. And the way your ankle, I remember they said it yesterday, the way your ankles hang, you need to get taped a certain way. So we take myself a certain way just for me because of my feet. Just to take the time to understand about how I was going to stay healthy with something good. And the funniest story I have from when I got a concussion, my junior year in the layup line, which is, I'm not talking about why I got it, but I got a concussion in the layup line. And I remember waking up, laying on the table in the training room, and Strick was like, I looked down, I said, Strick, I said, when do we get great uniforms? And he said, man, you're done. Because we had great uniforms for the whole season. He's like, okay, you're done, you're not playing. So just to be able to most kids could have talked their way out of it. I probably could have played after 10 minutes of being all right, but just the care that he took individually for every person to make sure we were okay is something I remember about Gary Strickland, and especially for me in my health when I hurt my knee as a freshman, helped me heal to get ready to play my freshman year because I thought I was done, going to redshirt. So he helped me in a lot of ways throughout my injuries, throughout my career to make me the player that I am. And I want to say about Mark Monahan before we say something. I just saw he just retired, and that guy with Eastern Michigan gear, the way he treated us with Eastern Michigan gear, even though we had to pin him up and throw him in his bag for him, but he was around. All that stuff happened, and was nobody more excited for any Eastern Michigan athletic team than Mark Monahan. We made it to the Sweet 16. The guy is very true. And blessings to him, and he had a great run with 36 years at EMU.
Well, what about you didn't mention Gene Smith, who was the AD then.
Right.
And so, Gene, I used to kid Gene all the time because Gene was a big football guy. And then he started spousing off about basketball. I said, Gene, we've been successful because you don't know anything about basketball. Don't start chiming in now. You're going to screw this up. And so he let us go, and we used to argue a little bit, by the way. And one day this javelin came on the court, and he used to tell me, don't worry about it, because we had track practices going on, people falling into our pit, our court. And so one day I left practice, and the coach says, oh no, they knew where I was going. I took the javelin and I went upstairs to Gene's office, and Gene opened the door and I threw it at him. And Gene said, what are you doing? I said, you told us just to concentrate, do your job. Don't be so soft. I said, so do the same. You concentrate. and don't be so soft. It's nothing but a javelin. And then next day he fixed practice for us. So
You had my back on that, Coach. You had my back on that because actually it was a pole vault almost hit me in the head.
it was a pole vault. That's right. And it was a javelin the next day too.
Yeah, almost hit me in the head. And Coach Braun said, "I said I want this curtain, man. Stop practice. Got out there and ran out there. I don't know where he went. Now I know.
I went to Gene's office and I threw it.
Now I know where you went. Yeah.
But Gene was great. He said, okay. Finally, he went on and he put up a curtain, and we had that was the end of all those practices from track, spilling over. We still had a few baseballs flying into our place, but Bowen Fieldhouse was special. Earl Boykins talked about I think all of us can still remember the smell of Bowen Fieldhouse. It's unmistakable, but once you had that smell, it was a smell of winning because we didn't lose very many there. But the support staff was huge. Bill Tuscany, you mentioned, and support people. We were very fortunate that everybody wanted us to be successful, and they gave us. That's what good administrators do. Support staff. Jim Streeter, he told our story. He was great. He helped us get onto the media. We had interviews all the time. Jim was great about getting our story out. I know these guys probably don't remember this, but Channel 4 came out one time and they said, "Coach, who is your best shooter? You got a lot of weapons here. Who's the best shooter in your program?" And I didn't waste a minute. I said, "I am." And the guy said, "What do you mean you are? You can't outshoot your players." I said, "I'll outshoot every one of them." I said, "Is this camera rolling?" And the guy said, "Yeah." So I said, "Keep it rolling." And I made 88 shots in a row. And the guy said, "I guess you might be the best shooter in your program." But these guys know that I challenged them all the time. We had fun. But Jim Streeter, they were fantastic. He was fantastic. He just got our story out, and we were big. We were around the state, around the area of Detroit, Ann Arbor. We had a following, and these guys earned it. But we had people that went out and told our story, and that was important. So, and still today, it's a big story.
Love Jim.
Like
Streeter.
I said, I always said that we had a great support staff, and certainly Jim Streeter and Strickland and the Romanuses and everyone, they all supported us. I can remember one time Coach was getting on me because about my assists, and I was like, I know that I'm getting making more assists than I'm getting credit for. So it was one time during a game, I was running up the court, and I didn't know who was responsible for keeping stats. And I remember making an assist, and I ran by the scores table, and I slammed on the scores table, and I was saying, "That's an assist. Count that." So Street got me after. Streeter got me after the game and said, "Hey man, I don't worry. I'm doing my job. Just make sure you do your job." So he got.
Hey,
so he never had a problem with me again. But I also remember I used to be a little shy about talking to the media, and I didn't want to pretty much do it I wanted to do it basically one-on-one. So I remember Mick McKay wanted to do a story with me, and I had a chance to sit down with Streeter, and he walked me through some things and set it up where it was more of a one-on-one situation. So the support we had was unbelievable. Even one time when I think we were playing in Syracuse doing the NCAA tournament, and I wanted to get a haircut, and I know it was I don't know if I should tell the story or not, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Gene Smith took me to get my haircut. Me and him went and got a haircut at a local barbershop. We had no clue where we were going. We just both went in there and took a chance of getting a line up and getting a haircut. I think he got a shave. And I just got a line up. But again, the support we had was unbelievable. We could be here all day talking about all the people that played a big part in our success. But we certainly had a lot of support.
Guys, I know we're getting close on our hour window that we'd asked for, so I can't thank you enough for your time. We can certainly do this all day, and it's great memories. I know so many people are intrigued. Talked to TC Cameron. He's called me a few times. He's fired up for this, and I know that it means a lot and to everybody. So I thank you for your time. Any parting thoughts or things you want to instill on us we're here to tell your story and make sure it's memorized and commemorated in the best way possible.
Yeah, I'd like to say something if I can. I want to say thank you, especially for what you're doing, because I've worked at a couple different schools, and I think probably of all the places I've worked, you guys have done the best job. And it's not like we haven't had some good teams in some other schools I've been coaching at, but I don't remember another university, another staff that's done what you guys have done to keep this going. And I think it's important. I think anytime you bring back players or coaches, I don't care how many games they won. It's not, you can't just bring back a coach only if you won, but you have get-togethers, you have alumni gatherings, and you make people feel important. I remember Chris Malloy coming back, another coach that was so instrumental in our success. And you mentioned Keith Dambrot, but coaches through Kevin Heck, coaches through the years, when you feel that they can come back and they can be part of, what they dedicated their lives and their families' lives to this. And you guys are making it possible through Zoom, through, the ADs having tailgates, but just recognizing former coaches, former players, former teams. I think that's huge. And, to do that, I want to just say my hat's off. That's going to make, I think, continue to have, to create a successful atmosphere at Eastern Michigan. And that's what every school, I think, needs. And so hats off to you guys for doing this. And it's fun for us too, but I'm hoping more players will come back and visit. I hope we can get football started again and we can all come back COVID safely. And then we can get together and have some tailgates. It would be our privilege to come back and participate.
And we
Again,
got that
like Coach said,
celebration. We've got circled. We're just waiting for those games because I know I'm ready to run through a wall for Carl and Charles' speeches.
Mine will probably be the longest.
That's true.
Oh my God, they better have a 5-hour window for that ceremony.
Hey, Serty.
Hey, my congrats, by the way. I didn't get my congrats. And Lorenzo, you beat me to it. That's what a good point guard does. But I want to say publicly, congrats. Lorenzo's already a Hall of Famer, but Carl and Charles certainly deserve it. And I hope there'll be a few guys to follow. It's always great to be honored, but that's a great honor. So congrats on that. And I'm hoping I can get back to call a game for Eastern. I did it a year ago or 2 years, but I hope I can come back and see the current team play for Coach Murph and come back and pay my respect and maybe call a game or two. It'd be my honor to do that too. I'm working for ESPN, Pac-12, NBC Sports, but I'd love to come back and do a game for you guys if you'll have me.
Hey, the seat's always open. I'll get out of the way for you any day, Coach.
All right, that's good. All you gotta do is
job.
feed me the Tower Inn. I'm good. You don't have to pay me any money. Just bring me to the Tower Inn. I'll have some food.
Oh, we can do that, guaranteed.
So,
Rizzo was
Well, you guys are doing a good job, and I think you have good leadership in Scott Weatherby, and just continue to reach out and stay in touch. And Mary, I know we've worked together before over at Wayne State. So one of your questions was, do I remember you? Yes, I remember you. But no, continue to do a good job. And like I said, leadership is the key. And when you have good leadership, and if you look at all the winning programs around the country, or just in the NBA or whatever, any pro sports or whatever, great companies, they always have what? Great leadership. So continue to do a good job, and we certainly will stay in touch and continue to support EMU.
Carl, you go ahead. I'll go last.
If you look at my shirt, you see how.
Hey, I'm not at home, Lorenzo. Charles and I did ours when we found out.
Well, hold on. I didn't get a good look at that shirt, Lorenzo. The shirt looks like it's getting a little tight on you. I may have to go in there and run you a couple of laps now.
Oh, man.
Let me hear.
Trust me, Coach. I'm in some good shape. I'm actually down to 190.
Now, listen, you're the one guy I used to challenge every player to chin-ups, and you were the one guy I never challenged because I could never beat your butt. I could get everybody else, but you would always get one more than me, so forget about it. I know better than to challenge you.
We still talk
But
about
just like you said, Coach, just like you told the reporter that you the best shooter on the team, I don't know if you remember, you also said you was the strongest person on the team, too. I can do more chin-ups than anybody.
Yeah, but I was wrong. You did me by one. You always got me by one. But you weighed less than I did. That wasn't fair.
Well, Coach, I always cheated you just to let you know. I would let you go first. I would let
And
you
do
go
one
first.
more.
So if you did 30, I would try to do 31.
That's exactly right. You were smart. You outcoached me. You outcoached me too. You outcoached me.
Oh,
See,
wow.
Greg, this is stuff that you know, like you can do forever. You know, bring it back in. And I remember walking on campus with Lorenzo as a freshman, and we was benching almost 300 pounds, and like, how you gonna put on that your jersey because he was so top heavy, man? How you gonna move there? But you know, or him sprinting out to the mile-and-a-half run out to Ryan Earson to get timed in a mile because you know he wanted to get out. I'm like, no, why you running so fast, man? We got another mile. We got great cross country guys. So we still use Lorenzo as an example. Like, if my point guard would have done this, it's 30 years later. But it hasn't changed when you want somebody to lead you that way. So there's some things, you know, that going back to my freshman year, just listening to Lorenzo and Charles and Coach speak, that Eastern is a special place. And I do appreciate from the bottom of my heart you bringing us back together to have us do this, because a lot of places don't do it. They say they want to do this stuff, and I think it's a lot of rhetoric. You guys have actually done and put your money where your mouth is and have done that and kept everybody together and keep this going along. And it's one thing about us bragging about it, but when people see all the work that we've done, and we look back, it is something that is a tremendous honor that you guys do that too. So I want to thank you myself. Also to, you know, Lorenzo and Coach Braun. Coach Braun, I redshirted me my freshman year to understand I was going to be a good part of the team. Hurt my brother a little bit, but understand that redshirted me to be a good part of the team. To Coach Waters, who, you know, I was going to shoot something about you here. Coach Waters said, man, good shooters take good shots. We're going to get better shots. Man, it's that simple. So I started working hard at getting better shots. And I had to tell Coach Waters, there's still things that I keep in my head today at 50, soon to be 51 years old. And on Saturday, Charles and I turned 51. And I can still remember that from when I was 17, 18, 19 years old with Coach Braun, Coach Waters, Coach Danbra, and Lorenzo Neely, my point guard. And I say my point guard because Lorenzo helped me become who I was from not only the Byron Scott stuff, just from the little stuff that he probably didn't even think he did. The group of guys that Charles and I went to school with is unbelievable. Still talk to Pete all the time. Still talk to Roger Lewis all the time. Still talk to Joe Frazier all the time. I mean, when you go to school and you want to leave, not only the Sweet 16 is a great, but you want to leave in those 4 years that you not only left your mark, but you established some lifelong friends and not only just teammates. And I think that Charles and I think Lorenzo, not speaking for everybody, but I think they can look at themselves and say that we did. And, you know, Coach, I know you have a lot of players, and we still talk about the Ed Gray teams that you let have more freedom than we had. But yeah, a lot of players. But I know that coming from Siena Heights, getting your first start at Eastern, the 3 guys on the screen with you right now being in your first true recruiting class, that is something, and it's a bond that's never, ever going to go away. We always can say that. Us 3 sitting right here in front of you. And that's a special thing to go, and I still take that with me until I'm done, that you brought us 3 together. So I appreciate you, Coach.
Well, thank you. I know we're getting up on the hour. I wanted to say real quick, I know I mentioned his name before, but the guy that recruited me, you know, Jim Boyce got me to Eastern Michigan, but the guy that was working behind the scenes to get me there was Chris Malloy. So Chris got me to come to Eastern because Chris was at Siena Heights College and talked me into leaving to come to be an associate coach, give up a head coaching job. And then Jim Boyce resigned. I took over. So I want to just give a shout out to Chris, who I saw just this past year. And you guys know Chris Malloy was instrumental too in that first year. And then Coach Waters, I want to leave you with one story. Earl Boykins reminded me of this the other day. He said, you know, he loved when it rained and it snowed because we wouldn't have to go out. He said, good, we're not going to have to go out to Rynearson and run the steps and run the track. And then just when he thought he was going to get a day off, Coach Waters would come out with gloves and hats and pass them out and says, where are you guys going? We're still running here. Where are these? And he'd make you wear those. So, you know, I wasn't as tough on you as he was. He's the guy that made you run in sleet and snow and why you were a little tougher than the average team. So shout out to Coach as well. But thanks again, though, for just bringing us all together. He couldn't do this enough. I see these guys and talk to them often, but it couldn't be often enough. And I hope other people can tune in and just see the genuine love we have, respect, and this will last a lifetime. That's for sure.
That's what I was going to say. The only thing I want to say is this: the reason why Greg and Mary, the reason why you see us the way we are is that we all wanted to be at Eastern Michigan. I think when you want to be somewhere, you want to do whatever you got, whatever it takes to win, whatever it takes to be successful, whatever you got to do. And 30 years later, like, I have a brother that looks just like me, but I have another brother sitting on the other side of this call. I have a father figure at the bottom of this call. Same with Gary Waters. Same with the guy I work for right now, Keith Dambrot. Same with all our teammates that we've all talked about. So the reason why Eastern Michigan was so special to us then, and it's still special to us now, is because we all wanted to be there. It wasn't about let's go somewhere else. We all wanted to be there. We're all in it together, and it was special. And for me, I went from never touching the court, basically, a couple minutes here and there, to these two don't even know it. I led the team in minutes our senior year. So for me, being in Eastern Michigan not only showed me about perseverance, not only became a man, showed me how to become a man, it showed me just what sticking with something, what it'll do for you at the end of the day. So that green and white's always going to be special to me. And those are reasons why. And my little point guard, who I'm so happy I got in fights with when I was a freshman, because I was frustrated, not because of what he did. Just real quick, I hit Lorenzo with the ball. Lorenzo throws it back at me. Me and Lorenzo get a little scrape. Grant Long picks me up and body slams me on the middle of the court. I'm like, why are you body slamming me? Lowe threw the ball at me, said, Charles, you don't play. Lowe's our starting point guard. So I'd be damned if Lowe gets hurt.
And he told me not to jump in it.
And he told Carl to jump in it.
He said, you better not jump in it.
And it was just fun because those things there, like, I couldn't be any closer to Lorenzo. I used to fight this dude, right? I can't be any closer to Lorenzo because, so Coach Braun, you and your staff give you all the credit for Malloy coming in and watching us play, to you having Dan Brock come in and sleet and slow, watch us play in Little Grand Ledge High School back gym. I play like crap. Carl probably had a good game, but like, you brought us together, and hopefully we can get that back at EMU, because if guys want to be there, you can do amazing things there, right? But I thank you, Coach Braun, for bringing us all together. Lo, I will send you that picture, Coach. I'm going to send you that picture too. I want to see it framed in the back of that little room you're sitting in. Your first three guys. Then we got to put Pete Pangus in there because we have 4 freshmen. Pete Pangus came in as a freshman, but us 3 came in together. We all left together. And it's something that I'm never, ever going to forget. And Coach Braun, I thank you because of that. And Carl, you better thank Carl too, Coach Braun, because Carl committed first, Greg. And I said,
That's
you know
right.
what?
I remember that.
Coach Braun said to me, Coach said, hey, Carl committed. So what you going to do? And I'm thinking like, Carl, you didn't tell me you were going to commit to East. So I said, I guess you're getting both of us, Coach. And it was the best decision of my life, man. So I really appreciate what
I
this
knew
lady
not
does
to
for us.
separate twins. A lot of people wanted to recruit you separately. I said, that's not going to happen. I knew better. Hey, I'll leave you with this too. Another just to demonstrate this a step further, but here you guys are 30 some years later, and you're still coaching with Keith Dambrot. That tells me tells anybody all you want to know, that not only was he in your life then, he's still in your life, still cares about you guys, and he's coaching. Now, the only thing you can't tell him is that you guys were his best player he's ever coached. He did coach LeBron James. I hate to break it to you guys. Even Lorenzo wouldn't argue with me on that. LeBron James does have an edge on you guys, so you're not the best players he's ever coached.
He got a little bit.
Lo,
Coach D talks about you all the time, Lo. We never do we, Carl?
No,
we always hear Lorenzo Neely's story.
Every day.
Always hear Lorenzo Neely's story.
Man, when I had Lorenzo, this is what happened. When I was taking out Lorenzo, y'all wouldn't have done this because Lorenzo would have. I'm like, Coach, I mean, we understand he was the model that you started at 28 years old, you started with. So we understand that we had to deal with Lorenzo too. We understood if Lorenzo didn't like something. That's what I said, the leadership thing, because when you're the hardest worker on the team, Lorenzo didn't lose a sprint 4 years. Was not going to lose a mile time in 4 years. Was not going to lose a stadium run in 4 years. That's who's leading us. So how are you not going to be good?
Well, wait a minute. There's one story about Coach Dambrot and Lorenzo that Keith wrote every coaching rule you're supposed to break. You don't do this. And I remember yelling at Dambrot. And there's 1 second to go on the clock. Lorenzo goes to line for 1-on-1. We're down a point to go to get into the tournament. I mean, we're in the tournament. And he turns to Lorenzo as he walks out. He says, Lorenzo, you better not miss this shot. Don't come back here and choke. I don't want to see if you miss these shots. Now, most players would have been done. And Lorenzo cut a look to Dan Braun. What choke? I'll show you. And he went out and made both shots.
But the Ball State game?
Dan Braun. That's a true story.
The Ball State game, Lorenzo?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both different. The Ball State game? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coach D crazy, man.
Dan Braun broke a rule. You're supposed to give players confidence. Don't talk to them. He said, Lorenzo, you better not come back here if you miss this shot. Don't even think about coming back. And I won't talk to you if you miss these shots. And he knew how to challenge Lorenzo, and Lorenzo was tough enough, and he made those shots. That's amazing.
That's new on me. I didn't know that one. I didn't know that one
either. Thanks for making them, Lo. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm glad I made them too.
You guys are the best. We greatly appreciate your time. And if there's anything we can do to help, Coach or Lorenzo, if you guys need anything, we're here to help.
Thank you, guys. I hope
appreciate that.
people
Thank you,
can
Greg.
queue this up, watch this. That'd be great. Thank you.